Once we start working with compound inequalities, we're going to run into AND situations and OR situations. So a fancy way you might see AND represented is with this symbol. So this is saying A intersects B, and it's called the intersection of A and B. So when you see this symbol, it's representing an AND situation, and this is what A and B have in common. So if it's something in A and something in B, it's like what they share. The other symbol you might see is this symbol, and that is the union symbol. So this is saying A union B, and that's like OR, so A or B. And this includes everything in A, everything in B, and everything in their intersection if they intersect. So it could look something like this, or if they don't intersect, they could just be two separate groups, but it includes everything represented by A and B. So I know I'm calling them A and B, but let's check them out as inequalities. So remember, AND is representing what they have in common. So think about it like the middle of a Venn diagram. So in this statement it says, all real numbers that are greater than -2 and less than 6. So personally, I would draw the number line first so that you can see what this looks like. So if it's -2 and 6, and we've got 0 somewhere in the middle, we want all real numbers that are greater than -2, so that would be numbers going this way, and all real numbers that are less than 6, so that would be numbers that are less than 6. Because it's AND, it's what they share in common, so that would be this area in the middle of the two. So this section between -2 and 6 is the part that is greater than -2 and less than 6. So for an inequality, that looks like x being in the middle of -2 and 6. So we don't actually use the word AND for, silly mistake. You don't have to use the word AND when you're doing inequalities. You can, because x is in the middle of these two, you can place the x, it being greater than -2, and then also less than 6. So x can go in the middle of them because you graph the section in the middle. For an interval, we looked at this one earlier. It's ranging from -2 to 6. So -2 is the farthest left point, 6 is the farthest right, and neither of these said equal to, so both are going to be parentheses instead of square brackets. Another example, we've got all real numbers that are less than 0 or greater than or equal to 5. So OR means everything they tell us we're going to graph. So we're not going to just look at what they have in common, we're going to look at everything. So we've got 0 and 5. So it says numbers that are less than 0. So I'm going to start at 0 and then go numbers smaller than that. Or greater than or equal to, so solid dot at 5, and then greater than or equal to. So for the inequality, we're actually going to write two inequalities. So we've got x being less than 0, and then we're actually just going to write the word OR, and then x being greater than or equal to 5. So when you do the inequality, you can just use the word OR. With the interval, we're going to do two intervals. So we are going to start at the left. So we've started at -infinity, and you always use the parenthesis with infinities, and then it hits 0. It doesn't include 0, so we're going to do parenthesis. Then there's this break, so that break is like my OR, so I'm going to use the symbol for OR. So OR is like the U shape, and then our next set starts at 5, and then it goes on forever to infinity. It's a solid dot at 5, so we're going to include the 5, but you can never include infinity. So using these symbols, like this symbol for the AND, I think of it like an N, for AND has an N in it, and then this U shape is for OR. So whichever of those fits the situation is what you would use in the middle of the interval. Usually it's going to be this OR symbol. All right, why don't you guys go check out some practice problems. There's some really good ones on Delta Math, and you can then move on to compound inequalities.